from our Chicago Cycle Network. And you guys will not believe, but today I am not in Chicago. Can you guess where I'm at? I'm all the way in Milwaukee because I had to come and interview the superstar. And Joey Sullivan, thank you so much for making the recommendation. It's worth it. And you guys learn about someone I think that is mind blowing. Trust me, for all the guys who are cyclists, it will blow the watts off you. I promise you. You will see what I'm talking about, and it will all make sense. I had to come to Milwaukee just for this. Right now, we're on location in his studio. We're going to learn about many, many aspects of what he does, how he does it. Or a total badass, I think. I mean, it's just mind blowing. So, guys, thank you again for subscribing to the channel, supporting the movement, recommending people, and just coming to just talk about your experience. I mean, I don't have enough words to say how much I appreciate you guys for what you've been doing. And again, not only can we use this to learn about each individual person, but I think this is like a really cool way to have like a diary for each person's cycling journey, like where you came from, what you came to be. So again, maybe one day you can show this to your grandkids, your great grandkids, because once it's on the internet, it never goes away. Even if it goes on the dark web, it's still there. So this is going to be a great way to, have a nice cycling diary for each person who come on the channel. Again, guys, thank you so much. And again, Chicago, the weather's getting better, warming up. Pretty nice day up here in Milwaukee today. But so again, the drive here was like an hour and 15 minutes. So it was like perfect, easy driving, made a trip, and here we are. So I'm not going to talk too much because today we're going to learn about, this guy right here. And I'm going to repeat again, he's going to blow the watts off you and you're going to see why. So please introduce yourself and let's just take it from there.
Thank you for making the trip up. My name is Thomson Remo. I'm a former road cyclist turned track cyclist and powerlifter. And by profession, I'm also a strength and conditioning coach. So today we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in my private training studio where I work with a variety of athletes, whether it's cyclists, triathletes, or youth sports performance and development for rugby, hockey, soccer, just about any sport or lifestyle and performance goal.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. We'll get into all those details because you said cycling, track, and lifting. So, but let's just back up because I want to get to learn because it's my first time meeting Sir Remo right here. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in Fond du Lac, which is about an hour north of here. So I lived there until college when I went to Marquette University here in Milwaukee. And since college, I've, for the most part, stayed in the Milwaukee area. However, over the last several years, I've spent a lot of time racing down in Northbrook, Illinois at the Ed Rudolph Velodrome.
Nice. So talk about Marquette. Just this morning, I was with some friends, my quarter of friends at coffee. And one of my friends was like, oh yeah, I took my daughter up to go look at Marquette. Mm-hmm. She's thinking about coming to Marquette. I'm like, please let your daughter go. Let she go somewhere further away from Chicago or, Illinois, just go for it. But, people want to keep their kids close, which I understand, which is great. But Marquette, pretty good school?
Yeah, it was a good school. For what I was there for, I studied biomedical science during my time there. I had aspirations of going into the medical field and realized pretty quickly once I was in there that wasn't what I actually wanted to do. I figured I'd rather spend a lot of time in the gym. So I became a strength coach. So got the anatomy and physiology down and then took that and applied it to something that I wanted to implement every day in my life, which is lifting weights, improving performance.
Gotcha. So what part of the course or college scared you away? Because science is cool, man. What happened?
You're probably much more into it than I am as a PhD yourself. For me, I like the hands-on application of it. So when I first ventured into college, I came from a road cycling background and started lifting weights in the off season to try to improve my power output. And I absolutely fell in love with it. So when I was in the university setting, I spent most of my time at the rec center. I just love the feel of being able to perform movements and then watch my physical structure change. That became completely addicting to me. So I fell in love with weightlifting and realized that was my true passion, that I just wanted to get into strength and conditioning.
I mean, and that's great because a lot of people go through life sometimes and never find their passion. And I'm happy that you found your passion and now it has led you to this place. So the question I want to ask you, so how did you get into cycling?
So I started racing very, very young. I actually started racing when I was 5 years old. So I learned how to ride a bike pretty quickly when my parents gave me a bike and told me to try it for the first time. I was riding, one-handed and no-handed within the first couple of days.
Wow, look
So
at
it was a quick progression. So there was a BMX track in my local town of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and my parents knew about it. Neither of them were racing cyclists, but my dad said, "Hey, there's this track and you seem like you're pretty good at riding a bike, so let's take you over there and try it out." So he took me to the starting hill on the BMX track and pushed me down it. And I don't think I even made it up the first jump my first time.
Did you make it down?
I made it down,
Okay,
luckily.
good.
Just didn't have enough momentum to keep it going. But eventually, after what was probably an hour, we made our way around the entire track. And he said, "Well, nice job today. You made it around. I'm signing you up for a race this weekend." So I started racing when I was 5 years old. And I ended up doing pretty well pretty quickly. So raced BMX from 5 years old to about 10 or 11, and then got into road cycling. I wanted to do something longer. My parents had some road bikes that were hanging in the garage that they had used here and there. And I thought, hey, those are cool. Can I try one of those out? So my first road ride was by myself. I rode about 10 miles, and then the next day I rode 20, and then same thing. That weekend, my dad said, "Hey, you like this road riding thing? Let's go take you to a road race." And won my first road race at 11 years old.
Look at that.
Kept it going from there.
What was it? What was it? The distance?
So the first road race I did, I think, was only 10 miles. The second one I did was about 20 miles. These were Wisport citizens races up in northern Wisconsin, but they were enough to get me on the cycling pathway. And from there, it stemmed into racing cyclocross, doing some mountain biking, getting into the endurance side of track racing, not necessarily the sprint side. So I was racing in 3 or 4 different disciplines already at 11, 12, 13 years old.
Wow, that's a lot. So what does like BMX racing, what does that entail? Do you like do like an obstacle course or
Yeah. So this
like a
isn't
derby kind of style?
Yeah, this isn't the real extreme downhill racing. This is a track that's primarily dirt. Sometimes they pave the turns of it, but it's a track that probably takes 30 to 45 seconds to complete with a lot of jumps. So you can either jump those or you can just roll over them. There's no gap that you have to jump over, but ultimately it's kind of a 30 or 45 second sprint. So there's a lot of action, typically a lot of crashing. That's one of the reasons I steered away from that style of racing. I kept crashing, I kept getting hurt, and every time you break a bone or have an injury, it puts you out for a few weeks. And road racing didn't seem to have as much of the crashing, and it had a little bit more top end speed, so that was still fun with me.
Well, so you have broken bones before?
Oh yeah, lots.
You look like you're no bones to be broken in your body, man. You look pretty ripped.
Done a good job healing and helping other people go through the same process.
Gotcha. So what's the longest distance you've ever ridden?
So the longest races I've done have been right around the 100-mile mark. I've done plenty of rides that are longer than that, but when I was racing in Belgium as a later teenager, a lot of the races were 3, 4, 5 hours long.
So you raced in Belgium?
Yeah, raced in Belgium, raced a lot of domestic pro races all over the U.S. So
now it makes sense why Joe Sullivan is a big fan of yours, because he's the kid from Belgium. He raced in Belgium too. Did you guys know each other in Belgium?
No. So when I was racing in Belgium, that was around the 2012 mark, and that was actually one of my last years racing on the road before I took a little bit of a gap and then transitioned into the track sprinting discipline.
Gotcha. So like, at what level were you racing in when you were in Belgium?
So I was international elite. So I'm a Category 1 road and track cyclist. So I was a Category 1, and actually, as I was a teenager, I was one of the youngest Category 2s in the country. I became a Cat 2 when I was 15 years old. Raced Super Week Pro Tour as a 15-year-old, which was a steep learning curve. I probably wasn't ready for the upgrade at that point, but the people who helped me with that upgrade process had a lot of confidence in me, and there was a lot of learning to be done. But I'd say overall, it taught me a lot about cycling and what it takes to become a true professional in cycling.
Did you race for a specific team when you were there?
So I raced with one of the local clubs here based out of Milwaukee. So I was with the Baraboo Sharks, which was a junior team, which ended up hosting quite a few international caliber riders. In fact, Ian Boswell, the Pro Tour rider, guest rode for us at the Tour de l'Abitibi one year, which was a Canadian international junior race. So I had a lot of teammates who went on to very large pro teams. I went on to the IS Core team, which was a big junior development program at that time as well, and then into Team Wheel and Sprocket, which is one of the largest, at that time, elite clubs in Wisconsin.
Gotcha. So what were you? Were you like a domestique, the sprinter, the climber? I mean, I look at you this, and I can't figure out like what you were because you look like you could just break anything.
I've done a bit of everything. So when I was really young and first getting into road racing, I always had great success in the time trials. From there, I really fell in love with the crits. I enjoyed criterium racing way more. I liked sprinting. And as I got a little bit older, I got a little bit heavier because I had a taller structure. So I was able to produce some pretty decent power even before I really got into the strength training side. So I enjoyed criterium racing the most. And there was just a lot of it to be done. You know, here in Wisconsin, we had the Super Week Pro Tour, which became Tour of America's Dairyland. There were a lot of good criteriums in Illinois as well. And even some of the Super Week races were down there. So I've raced a lot of crits just because it was what was available and because they were fun.
Yeah, awesome. So what's like one of your fun crit races? Have you done Intelligentsia?
So that was coming about as I was phasing out of road racing. So the first couple of years of that were my final few years. So I was racing in Belgium during that when I was younger. And then by the time I had hung up the bike, that's when the Intelligentsia Cup came around into a little bit more prominence.
Man, we missed you, man.
Just barely, yeah.
Wow. So you finished crits. You did a lot of road racing in Belgium. So you did road racing in the US also.
Yeah, lots of road racing in the US.
Like Tour of California. I mean,
so one of the most memorable races was that Tour de l'Abitibi, which was an international junior stage race up in Canada. So it's way up in northern Quebec. And that was comprised of a bunch of international teams coming in from all over the world. So there were teams from Asia, teams from Europe, and a lot of those athletes who were participating there also ended up in the Pro Tour. One of the years I was there, Lachlan was there, who ended up racing for EF, and he dominated every stage up there. So I could say, hey, I raced with that guy, and now he's on TV. So a lot of big names, but it was also cool just to see how the different cultures treated cycling. When I was younger, I grew up racing in the US primarily, and then when I went over to Belgium, it was such a massive learning curve just because they race so much differently, and the culture around cycling is different. Here, cycling didn't have as much mainstream prominence, whereas over there, if you're a cyclist, you're an absolute superstar. That's a major sport for them.
Catch. I did not know this. So maybe I should move to Belgium so I can be a superstar. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe.
I am not that good. I suck. But anyway, so you did crits, road racing. How did you transition into track? Like, what was the click that says, okay, let me go do track versus sticking to crits and road racing?
So I actually started track when I was pretty young. My first experience on the track was at probably 13 years old. I had some friends who were racing on the road and racing cyclocross who lived down in the Kenosha area, which is where our Wisconsin velodrome is.
Yes.
And they said, hey, we race track in the summer. It's Tuesday nights. You should come check it out. So I used a rental bike for the first year and thought it was very fun. So then got a real track bike and then started racing that more consistently as an endurance athlete. So I was racing the scratch race and the points race and events that take probably more than 10 minutes in duration. So I didn't really do anything in the sprint style discipline until a decade later. So because your track category typically mirrors your road category, I became a category 2 and eventually a category 1 on the track as well, but in the endurance disciplines. So when I got into the sprint side, it was basically like entering a completely different sport, even though I had been on the velodrome hundreds of times.
Gotcha. And I just learned about the velodrome in Kenosha. I had no idea there was one there until I spoke to somebody who came to buy a bike from me. And he was talking about bicycling, and he said there's a velodrome in Kenosha because his family's from Kenosha. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? I only knew of the one in Northbrook.
Yeah.
And the people keep on saying there's an old broken one down in South Chicago that's like no longer functional. And I think Jeremy, I think you coach or something with Jeremy?
Yeah, so I worked with Jeremy leading into his Maccabi Games victory. So he's a big cyclist.
Say thank you, Jeremy.
No, thank you, Jeremy, for putting in the hard work and keeping it going. So it paid off, and that was where I got to know him better, and that was much later in my career once I was already a track sprinter and not doing too much on the road anymore. So it's kind of interesting how some of those people in the cycling community know me as one thing. They know me as the bigger lifter sprinter, and a lot of the people who know me from 15 or 20 years ago remember me as the 150-pound road rider.
You used to be 150 pounds. Wait,
Yeah.
Oh, way. I couldn't even tell that. I'm looking at you. I'm thinking about you look like Johnny Bravo over here. Like,
No, it's been quite the change. Yeah.
So I'm looking at look at this guy's muscle. I mean, look at me compared to him. So I remember when I was in Miami and I worked at this restaurant called Balin's in South Beach, and we had a friend that worked out a lot. So whenever people stop by the restaurant and say, "Hey, where's the direction?" He'll be like, oh, the direction is that way. So we have all those goofy friends. So do you do that sometimes? The people ask you for
I
directions?
try not to. I hope I don't.
You should do it one day to some to
Maybe just for the outro on here.
maybe your girlfriend. If she said, "Hey, where's my?" You say, "Hey, it is that way."
I think she might leave me if I start doing that. But
My wife would find it very funny though, because she's something else. But I don't have the muscle, so she'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave it because you don't have the muscle." But yeah, that's pretty cool though. I mean, again, when I came here, I had no idea about your background other than a few little things I pick up on the internet here and there. So this is really cool. I told you, okay. So when you're spinning your track racing, so I know there's like time trial and sprints and them 3 different ones.
yeah.
What's the difference between those types of riding in the track?
So the easiest way to think about it is kind of like track and field for running and field events. You have your 100 meter, 200 meter, 400, and then you have the distance events, which would be the mile or the steeplechase. And track cycling works in a very similar fashion where you have people who are sprinters, and then you also have people who are more endurance inclined. So the endurance riders race the events that take a little bit longer, anywhere from 5 or 10 minutes to an hour. So that would be the Madison, the points race. The Madison's kind of an interesting one because that's where 2 people are on the same team, and it's kind of like a tag team race where you tag each other into the race and have both people working on and off for about an hour long. And that was one of my favorite events as an endurance rider. But then in the sprint events, we do events that are anywhere from 10 seconds to about 2 minutes.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. And granted, there's a little bit of a wind-up period for that one. So the 200-meter sprint is one of the most common events in track where you have a couple laps on the track to get up to speed, and then they just time you over the final 200 meters. So you're already going very fast by the time you hit the start line.
Oh, that is so. There's a guy from Trinidad and Tobago, some African American guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but I think I glanced at it, and he's like destroying everybody now.
Absolutely, Nicholas Paul. Yeah,
Because-
great rider. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, dude, I saw you, man. Respect. Good, keep it up. This is like those flights, and it's like all these guys are putting on the power. It gives me goosebumps. So when you're racing like track, what are you spinning? What do you spin?
So on the track, the sport has evolved quite a bit because on the track, you're on a single speed fixed gear bike. So you have to be very particular about the gear that you're choosing. Some people like spinning a little bit faster. Others like mashing a bigger gear. I've always been much more of a big gear mashing type person. So the gears that people are riding now have typically over 60 teeth on the front chainring and somewhere between a 12 and a 14 on the back. So a much larger gear than you're going to find on a road bike. Whereas the more common track gears for the endurance riders or for old school track racing 15, 20 years ago would be comparable to about a 52-14. So something that you'd find on a road bike pretty commonly. So those riders have to be much more adaptable when it becomes about accelerating on a light gear up to a very high cadence, and then also being able to turn that over at low speeds and with a lot more torque.
So you spin like what, 80-10 or something?
No. Over the last few years, I've gotten a little bit smarter, so I'm actually a little bit more middle of the road when it comes to that. But that's taken some learning for sure, and a lot of, I'd say, external guidance on that part.
Gotcha. Okay, so here's, because I'm told you will knock the watts out of you. So like, what your maximum wattage you've ever put out?
So my maximums are typically in the mid 2000s for a peak power output. Years ago, I performed.
You said 2000.
Yeah, mid 2000s, 23, 24, 2500 watts.
And I thought my 1400 is a lot.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you're an endurance rider, that's more than enough to propel you to a victory. So it all depends upon when you have to use that power. And if your event's only 10 seconds, you have to use it pretty much immediately. In a road race, you can probably wait a little bit longer.
So wait, I think I read something, but I wasn't clear about this. You have some 56 second something.
Yeah.
I saw on the internet somewhere.
So a lot of the track cyclists throughout the world train on watt bikes, which are indoor bikes. It's a brand name, watt bike. And they're bikes that were originally developed in partnership with British Cycling as a tool that they were using going into the London Olympics in 2012. And they were trying to get a bike that felt like a real bike that had a higher quality power meter than anything else out there. So they put this stationary bike together, and Team Great Britain was using it. And eventually that bike became the official talent ID tool of the UCI, the International Cycling Union.
Gotcha.
So because all the sprinters were training on that bike, I approached the local distributor to try to purchase one of the bikes. And the distributor happens to be Woodway Treadmills, which is located just outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I called them on the phone and said, hey, I'm a track cyclist in the area and I'm also a strength coach. I want to buy one of these watt bikes for my training. And they said, well, come on over here, check it out. We have a bunch of them in our showroom. We have a full gym. You can get a workout in, see what you think. And then if you want to buy it, go ahead. So I got a workout in that first day. And they said, it was nice having you in here today. Why don't you come back tomorrow and you can train here again? And eventually that turned into an athletic partnership where I was training out of the facility for almost 2 years.
That's pretty
and
cool.
Working as a strength coach all the while. And eventually they decided that they needed someone who could bridge the gap between the strength and conditioning departments of schools and professional teams that they were selling products into, and someone who knew the watt bike very intimately. So I was kind of the in-house specialist and product expert, but along that way, I used the watt bike a lot. So I got to know it very well. And I set a record in the 1,000 meter test on the watt bike, which was just under 1,000 watts for 56 seconds. And then shortly thereafter, I pushed 1,000 watts average for over a minute.
Because, all right, hold on. Over 1,000 watts for 1 minute.
Correct. Yeah.
I thought I was a shiznit because I've done 950 watts for like over 30 seconds. So I thought it was pretty cool. And you did over a minute.
Yeah. So a little over a minute at a little over 1,000 watts, and then 30 seconds at about 1,600 watts. Yeah.
For anybody who is watching this, and I know I got a bunch of guys who ride bikes, and we think our 1,200, 1,400 watts is like great stuff. It's hanky panky. This guy make that look like we're not even trying. He'll just blow by us like in 2 seconds.
A lot more body weight here too.
Yeah,
that's, I wasn't doing that when I was racing on the road.
That's pretty impressive. You said 2,400 watts?
Yeah.
You
so
can hit that?
Yeah, peak power. Definitely. That's a big component of track cycling, being able to accelerate intensely.
You could toast bread.
I think there's a video of a track cyclist doing that out there. Yeah.
Exactly. Wow, that's really amazing. So you do all this, training. You mentioned, so you work with like different teams and different things for strength training, right? So you're also a coach.
Yeah. So over the last 7 or 8 years, I've been the global lead educator for Watt Bike and Woodway Treadmills and a couple industry leading fitness equipment brands who primarily sell products into professional sports teams and university athletic departments. So over these past years, I've gone around to just about every professional sports team facility and spoken with their strength coaches and their athletic trainers and physical therapists about how to integrate the Watt Bike into their strength and conditioning protocols. I've spoken at the NHL Combines annual strength coach meeting, as well as the NBA Combines annual strength coach meeting. I've presented for the Major League Baseball winter meetings and Professional Baseball Strength Coaches Society. So I've gotten to know the ins and outs of strength and conditioning in sports performance and how some of the metrics from cycling can also relate to what they're trying to achieve in those sporting departments.
So is there any translation with like strength power training for like sprinting and like for the NFL?
Definitely. So in a lot of cases for the NFL specifically, if they have a player who is returning from injury who needs to exert intensity, so they need game-like intensity, but they're not ready to be cleats on the ground, making contact or tackling, they'll use the Watt Bike as a way to supplement that. So they might do a series of sprints that would mimic a drive in football, so mimicking a series of plays. So that might be something like performing 6 seconds on, 24 seconds off for as many plays as a drive would require.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I really hope you can come and talk to the Chicago Bears. And if you ever talk to them, tell them to stay in Chicago. I hope you can come and convince them.
No promises, considering we're north of the border right now. So
well, and they're about to go south of the border if that happens. So
yeah.
you never know. So it might work out. So I was looking at some stuff about you on the internet, and I saw that you're 2-time national champion for something.
Yeah. So outside of the cycling stuff, over the last few years, I've done a little bit of powerlifting. So as I mentioned in college, I was using strength training as a way to supplement my cycling. So I was doing it just in the winters and primarily just lower body. I was pathetically weak upper body wise, but when I returned from Belgium in the fall of 2012, I was kind of burnt out from cycling. So I went all in on lifting weights. So I said, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to get as big and strong as possible, and really fell in love with that side of it. So I ventured into competing in strongman and powerlifting. So a handful of years ago, I became the national champion in drug-tested powerlifting. And then repeated that. So 2022 and 2024, I won the national championship, and 2023, I won the North American championship in powerlifting.
So the drug test had been, they make sure you have drugs and then they make you lift, or
the opposite of that. So that's one of the funny things about powerlifting, where they have two different federations or segments within the federation. So they have the people who want to stay clean and the people who are okay with taking anything. So because I'm involved in cycling, because I work with a lot of athletes, and because it's just more true to what I believe in as an athlete, I've always wanted to stay on the clean path. So I compete in drug-tested powerlifting. So you're not allowed to take any prohibited substances. So you have to do it naturally.
So you can do like creatine and stuff like that.
Yeah, creatine, just nothing on the U.S. anti-doping or world anti-doping prohibited substances.
So no cocaine, no marijuana. And
correct. Yeah, and nothing beyond that either.
That sounds like no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've always been, because I love cycling and because I always anticipated returning to competition in cycling, I always wanted to maintain that clean route. So that was something that was very important to me.
Gotcha. No, fair enough. I'm just having, my coffee talk moment, just very relaxed and just make jokes and crack jokes, because you look like a very professional, serious guy, and you have the numbers behind you and all the cool stuff that I'm learning about. I mean, you raced in Belgium. I had no idea. This guy can put 2,400 watts. I'm tired just listening to that. You not only did crit racing, road racing, track racing, but you all do powerlifting. That's a lot. So
yeah, so there aren't too many people who do both. Cyclists typically like to stay out of the gym. Most cyclists don't want to lift. They want to be outside on the road. They're more, I would say, endurance inclined for the most part. So they like feeling the burning legs. They like having their lungs and heart burning as well, but they don't necessarily want to go in and try to lift something heavy. I probably didn't even become that way until I really started lifting more seriously through and after college. But there, to my knowledge, isn't really anyone who has done both the endurance side of cycling and the extreme side of powerlifting or strongman at the level that I have.
Oh, cool.
It's quite the contrast, but also about 100 pounds body weight difference between my body now versus when I was competing as a road cyclist.
So how important do you think, if hardcore professional Tadej Pogacar level start, I don't know if they incorporate much weightlifting, but how beneficial do you think that would be to like an endurance athlete?
Extremely beneficial. From a performance standpoint, definitely helpful. But really from the long-term biomechanics standpoint, it's going to be phenomenally important, because what I really focus on with a lot of the cyclists and triathletes that I work with is remodeling tissue to make sure that you're able to maintain good posture and to make sure that you don't encounter injuries down the road, and that you're able to live a comfortable and successful and fulfilling life off the bike as well. So cyclists typically end up with some pretty poor postural situations. So tight hips, rounded shoulders, a lot of internal rotation through the shoulders as well. So that was definitely an issue for me as a cyclist. And when I was first getting into lifting, that I had to learn how to overcome. So now I spend a lot of time helping people who are into cycling and triathlon do the same. It's opening up the posture, making sure that they're effective at producing force and power off the bike just as well as they are on the bike.
So is that where the cycling world is pushing towards now, like combining their leg burning, lung burning with weightlifting to kind of balance the body out?
Yeah.
And does it would that increase the life expectancy, like cycling career for some people, you think? Or
absolutely. Yeah, I think it'll increase both your career literally and figuratively, both on the bike and off. Cyclists have cross-trained and strength trained for decades. That's not a new thing, and honestly, probably forever. But the more common knowledge about how to do it properly, how to do it in a way that's not going to be detrimental to your cycling, that's becoming a little bit more prevalent now. So we're seeing a lot of social media and rhetoric around how to strength train properly for cycling. But I don't think most people are quite there yet. I think a lot of the people who are trying to write on that subject are probably inexperienced in weightlifting, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't done enough of it themselves to really learn how to do it effectively, and probably also not quite sure how it's actually translating to their cycling performance. So unless you're using a power meter and you can quantify every single watt that you're getting out of the strength training work that you're doing and how it's converting over, you're basically just guessing. So that's a huge part of my process. It's use the gym and the strength training and force producing capabilities that you develop in the gym as a way to supplement your riding. So you use a stationary bike, or in my case, the watt bike pretty often, or even your bike with a power meter outside or on a trainer. And you need to be measuring how effective your strength training is by monitoring your improvement in power output.
Gotcha. Man, you need to talk to Dean Abt. I just featured him, so you guys need to talk, because I know he just became a coach, a cycling coach. Not only that, he also have a coach, being a cycling coach. So you guys need to talk, because I think as you're saying all these different things, I'm thinking about the physiology of the body, the anatomy, and how these things would come together. There's always, you think you know a lot, and you learn something, like, wait a minute, I actually don't know a lot of stuff. And this sounds like you could be a pioneer. I mean, you're a pioneer already, but you could probably try to start reaching out to biking clubs in Chicago, hitting the area, and say, hey, let's work together. Let's work something out. I mean, 606 might need some help.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, for the last several years, I've been pretty involved with some of the cycling clubs in the area, predominantly in the NICA realm. So
Gotcha.
The High School Mountain Biking League. So working with quite a few teams in the Wisconsin area here for strength training through and before and after the season. So that's been very successful. And yeah, obviously.
Have you seen any improvement in these?
Oh, definitely. And especially with NICA, because a lot of those kids, they're involved in the organization, maybe just because they want to have fun, not necessarily because they want to compete in cycling. A lot of them compete in other sports. So they might play soccer, they might play football,
Gotcha.
They might wrestle, they might do all these other activities that have nothing to do with cycling, but they can learn how to use cycling as an effective conditioning modality and have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's like in the latter part of my running career, fun running. I think there was actually people talking about like pushing more weightlifting and with running, because the term they used was muscle confusion. And if you've heard the term before, right? So if you keep on doing the same motion over and over and over, then all the other muscles that you're not engaging, they atrophy, right?
Yeah.
And then you just all of a sudden you're walking like this. But if you're strength training, you balance out your body.
Exactly.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I do for a lot of the masters riders that I work with is try to get them off the bike. So the more time they can spend off the bike, the better they're probably going to perform on it. So we can use some of the musculature that they're not typically recruiting effectively in cycling and help balance them out so they don't end up with a whole list of injuries down the road.
I see that, because again, for somebody who's just like running back in the days, back in my days, back in 1965. Yeah, so this shirt was a shirt from my wife, because it's a term I like to use. You say, hey, have you seen something? I've seen it since 1965. So my wife went to a thrift store and she found this shirt and she gave him. So I'm actually wearing it today. Okay, so thank you, Nicole. Representing this shirt. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So what are you? So now we're in this huge space in Milwaukee. Could you give us a little rundown about like what your space is like? And now, because you mentioned there's a different groups and different things happen in your building.
Yeah, so in this space, my particular area of focus is working with a lot of the local cyclists, and some of them happen to be high school and youth. Some of them happen to be adult masters, professional business people who are weekend warriors or enthusiasts.
Weekend warrior, I like that word.
Yeah.
I'm a weekend warrior.
Exactly. But that happens to be a lot of the cycling community. People like to do it. It's a sport that you can do throughout your entire life. But if you do it throughout your entire life, you should probably do something in addition to it, because otherwise you're going to be pretty uncomfortable off the bike when you're trying to go about the rest of your life.
Gotcha. Yeah, so in this space you have, so this is your location.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to share people like where exactly is your location, and so just in case you want to come and just knock on the door, you can find it easily.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in Glendale on Milwaukee's North Shore. This is a facility that used to be the Milwaukee Cycling Center. So it used to be filled with a bunch of indoor smart trainers that you could put your road or mountain bike onto and train with other people in the winter. So I first started working with cyclists here, 6-7 years ago. And since then, I've kind of kept this as my home base on and off. So continuing to train clients primarily on the strength training side here. So Glendale, Wisconsin, just off of Highway 43 and Capitol Drive.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool building. I just walk in the space and it's just just remind me that I want to get a coffee and just sit down and just relax and just chill out. It's so zen. It's a really nice space here, guys. So again, if you ever want some training, like this is the place to be. Again, I guess people can reach you on your website because you do have a website.
Yes.
And you do take on clients. So can you let them know what your website is? So just in case people want to find you.
Absolutely. So my website is thomsonremo.com. I'll post a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
And I take on clients both in person in Milwaukee and online. So I have a handful of athletes who are all over the country at this point, across BMX, road, track, cyclocross racing, as well as athletes in a lot of other sports. I do quite a bit of consulting with athletes in hockey, rugby, soccer. So whether you're a cyclist or not, the most important thing for me is that you have a performance goal. And if you don't know exactly what that performance goal is right now, I'm pretty good at helping people choose what it could or should be. So working with people online and remotely, people from Chicago often come up for testing as well. So if you're interested in power testing, whether it's peak power and force velocity profiling testing or VO2 max testing, I do a lot of that. I'm very involved with the NHL Combines, Wingate, and VO2 max tests. So I have a lot of experience working with some pretty high level athletes, administering the hands-on testing on the bike.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And I think I saw a picture on your website. This person's name was Alex. Was it Alex S?
Yeah.
Good Lord. I think you guys listen, this guy's quads are like this. He's like a true quadzilla.
Chicago track cyclist.
Yeah. So who's, because I don't know idea about this guy. Who exactly is this guy?
So Alex Bulletin, he's an athlete who I've worked with for several years, and we were teammates at one point. So he's moved to Colorado now. He's a dentist and living a very successful life as both a track cyclist and a dental professional. That's pretty awesome. But very, very large legs, very good build. So one of the most regimented and disciplined athletes I've seen.
Yeah, my God. Again, when you guys go to the website, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So back in your days, like, so when you were doing like your track racing, what was your nutrition like?
That's been a long pathway. When I was young, my nutrition was horrible. The old road cycling rhetoric used to be all about carb loading. So I would always eat a lot of carbs. I never really craved protein and didn't really know why it was important. They say it's to build your muscles, but at that point I wasn't really as interested in muscle building. So I ate a lot of carbs and they weren't always from the best sources. So it wasn't until I really got into powerlifting and got to a body weight that I felt was significant enough for being a successful lifter, I realized that I needed to clean up the diet and focus more on the protein intake. So I'd say over the 20 years, probably the last 5 or 6 years have been really good. Before that, it was just eating as much as possible. And way before that, it was mostly carbs. So it's kind of been a complete flip. But now it's something that I talk about quite a bit with my clients as it's incredibly important. And if you want to see changes with your appearance, most importantly, it's going to be a huge, huge factor. So if you're going for body composition change, you have to pay attention to what you're eating. You can't outrun it with hard work.
Yeah, in my age, I'm trying to outrun it, but it's not happening. I try to not eat stuff, and then I want to get beer, and I want to eat ice cream and cool, fun stuff. But yeah, as they say in the nutrition world, like if it tastes good, spit it out. I think
it doesn't have to be like that either. It doesn't have to be miserable. You just have to be very conscious about what you're trying to accomplish.
Gotcha. But I'm not conscious. I'm a little zombie going around eating whatever. Back in the days, I could eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
And as I'm about to hit 45 in a few months, it's like, I have to like not eat anything.
Yeah. Well, and in powerlifting, one of the big things is try not to let yourself go hungry. So if you're hungry, you're probably not growing enough. You're probably not doing enough to supplement your performance and getting bigger and stronger. So that has completely reshaped the way I look at eating, where if you can't be hungry and you have to constantly be eating, but you also have to try to find good sources, there are strategic ways to make that happen. I travel a lot for work, and a lot of my clients travel a lot as well. So that's one of the things that I focus on with them. It's, hey, you need to know exactly where your next piece of food is coming from at all times. So we'll map that out in advance, or I'll show them strategies so they know exactly what to choose when they're on the road. Gotcha.
So I used to go about, powerlifting and stuff. So I've been telling my friends, my wife, that so I picked up running because I was stressed out from doing my fellowship. And then I really wanted a bike, couldn't buy a bike because it was expensive. Okay, I can afford a bike, so I'm biking. So I told my wife, I'm gonna do running, stop running. Biking, when I stop biking, I'm gonna do bodybuilding, weightlifting.
Yeah.
I've been saying this, and people think I'm kidding. Like one day, like, why isn't Omar not biking anymore? And it's because I'm in the gym, bulking up. I want to look like this guy. So maybe one day, like I told you right here. So maybe one day I'm gonna look just like this.
Well, the good news is you can do both, and you can be successful with both, and have a lot of fun with them too.
Yeah, no doubt. No, but I like to do one thing at a time because my brain is too scattery. So I need to just like focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah. When you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, he rode a bike a lot. So
Yeah. I mean,
have it all.
What's his name again? Ray Lewis rides a lot of bike too.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis rides a lot, and I know Reggie Miller is riding now. So like
Yeah,
crazy.
big USA cycling ambassador. Yeah.
Robin Williams is a cyclist. Harrison Ford is a cyclist. All these guys, I'm like, wait a minute. So that might be the secret. Low impact. You can swim to if you want, but a lot of these guys are doing a lot of cycling. So yeah.
Yeah, it allows you to see the world in a different way. You know, you can accomplish way more than you can when you're walking or running. So, and you can go a little bit faster, have more fun with it.
That's exactly why I bike, because I can go farther and faster, and I can just see really cool things. And it is pretty crazy. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I could drive to somewhere and I could ride to somewhere, and the perspective is completely different.
Absolutely.
The same exact street. I'm like, I didn't see this before. But on the bike, you get to see stuff.
Exactly.
Same thing too when you're in the driver's seat versus the passenger seat.
Yeah.
You see completely different things.
Absolutely.
Isn't that wild?
Well, and as a cyclist, I'm sure you experience this as well, where you'll be driving and you'll drive past a hill and you'll say, oh, wow, that'd be a nice hill to ride up.
All the time. Whenever my wife is from Sterling, Illinois, like close to the Dixon area, and every time we drive, I'm like scoping out places to go by, like, you know, like Fairhaven or somewhere up in Volo or whatever. And I scope. I'm like, I'm coming back for you. See you later. And then there's a crazy hill that's at the beginning of Fairhaven, from the Thomson side of the Mississippi, coming back into Sterling. This hill is called MF Hill because it's like it's a MF hill to climb.
Yeah.
And I've done it a couple times. And when you go to the top, you just want to just like barf, man.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Absolutely.
Do these things. It's like, yeah. So yeah. So any plans? So do you still race and lift competitively now, or are you more kind of mainly coaching now?
So all three. So I've taken a little bit of a break from competing in cycling, but it sounds like there might be a little bit of a revival of the competitive cycling soon. In the meantime, I have been powerlifting and competing pretty actively up until 2024 fall. And then took a little bit of a break from that, just letting the body recover. So still staying involved with competition, and then also helping a lot of other athletes with their competitive endeavors.
Oh, nice. So, and you mentioned that, you know, you had like an epiphany. So okay. So when it comes to road racing, you mentioned that one road race was like one of your high point. What about powerlifting? Like when you lift in competition, like what's one of your most memorable experience in powerlifting and also in track? Like it was just like this moment, you're like, man, I'll never forget these moments.
So powerlifting is an interesting one for me because the competitions, I'll be honest, aren't as much fun as cycling. With powerlifting, you're by yourself on a platform. They give you a minute and your weight's loaded on the bar and they say, okay, go ahead, lift this. And sure, there's a crowd cheering for you, so that's kind of fun, but you're not going head to head with anyone, so it doesn't feel too competitive. And now with social media and just with good training, you know what numbers you're going to hit. You know, if everything goes to plan, I'm going to lift this much. And because you can see what everyone else is lifting on Instagram, you can say, hey, well, this person's going to lift that much, so I probably just have to beat them by a few pounds here. So it kind of ruins the competitive side of it. So winning is fun. But I don't really like the competition side of that. Whereas with cycling, you're head to head with people. You know, it's interactive. There's a tactical component to it. So competing in cycling, from my perspective, is a lot more fun. I like being big. I like being strong. But at the same time, the culture of cycling is something that no other sport's really able to match. So that's why I love criterium racing. I love the sprint disciplines on the track. My favorite one is Keirin racing. Which is a little bit of a group sprint race on the track.
Gotcha.
So things like that, where every single race can be different just because of the tactics and the dynamics of the race, that keeps it interesting.
Yeah. So can you outlift Anatol? Do you know what I'm talking about? That guy with the big beard?
I would hope so. I weigh 100 pounds more than that guy.
that walks around in gyms and looks like you can't lift, and then he's people are struggling. He's like, hold my map, and the man's like, oh, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
So again, I kind of keep up with all these different social media stuff because I need to be relevant to my kids. I got to know how
Absolutely.
to use skibidi and all these beta and all these words. I got to keep up. So.
I haven't gotten to those yet. Yeah.
Oh, no kids.
I do have a daughter. Yeah, she's 14 years old. She's playing volleyball, basketball. Great athlete, good student.
Yeah, I have 5 kids. I got a kid.
You have your hands full.
I got a kid in college.
Yeah.
And at home I got 4. So my hands are super full. So again, I have to keep up. When they call me beta and all these different things, I gotta, this. Yeah, you look too young to have a 14-year-old.
Yeah, well, she's growing like a weed. Shout out to Noelle.
Hi, Noelle. Mon Noel. That's the Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, there's so many things I'm learning about you, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm still kind of playing in my mind 2400 watts and knowing what it takes to do that, and it's still like not clicking because I've seen those guys on the interweb. Those guys where their legs are like this. One is like this big,
yeah,
and these guys can burn some serious watts, man.
Mm-hmm.
So do you ride on Zwift sometimes?
No, I've only played around with Zwift a little bit. I've never ridden competitively or done a Zwift race before. No, the indoor time trials on the old CompuTrainers in Illinois. You guys used to have a series for those, the Mid America Time Trial Series, where
I have no idea what this. So educate me.
This was probably around like the 2005 to 2010 time period. So I would do a lot of those on the CompuTrainer. So I'd come down to Illinois, and it was a bunch of people in a venue, and you all take turns racing on the CompuTrainer. So that was the pre-Zwift indoor racing. Yeah.
Wow. So yes, I was talking to Andrew Starkowitz.
Okay.
He's the first American to ever break 4 hour in the 112 miles in Ironman. He biked at like 20.5 miles an hour for 112 miles. All right.
Fast.
Yeah. So he was saying that Nims, the guy who came up with Zwift, reached out to him in the beginning and offered him to be a partner, but he said he didn't understand enough about it. Yeah. I never took it up.
Yeah.
I know Zwift is like a billion-dollar company. He's like, man, I want to beat myself up so bad right now.
Live and learn.
Yeah. That's so every time opportunities come along, think about it because there's always a bigger picture that what can happen.
Absolutely.
So you being part of the the pioneer, like really combining cycling and more educating people, that might be your amazing legacy. So let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, there's a lot of chance that comes into situations like that. I mean, I never would have expected to be involved with a company like Wattbike, and that turned into the most amazing career journey I could have asked for, where I've been able to get access to facilities that most people would never be able to see and interact with people that most people don't have access to. So that's been a phenomenal experience and a great way to learn about everything that's out there. Because it's not just the sports performance side. You get to see a lot of really cool health clubs, state-of-the-art facilities that most people could never even dream of.
Yeah. Have you met any celebrities in our train? Any celebrities, or well, maybe because of HIPAA violation, but have you ever met some really cool, amazing, famous people in your time?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the majority of the customer list for both of those companies is comprised of some of the most famous people out there, whether it's celebrities or sports personalities and figures. But at the end of the day, most of the ones that I've interacted with are still real people. So I've never had a bad experience with one. So that's been very fortunate.
That's awesome. And I can attest to this one. So somebody I knew when I was in Miami was Danny Wood from New Kids on the Block. And the more you treat him normal is the more he like respects you. Mm-hmm. Like you see him and he's like, oh, Danny, what up? And you like, okay, let's go out for coffee. I buy you coffee. I'm like, yeah, I know you're way richer than I am, but I can buy you a coffee. It's okay, right? And they like stuff like that. But some people like suck up to them too much. They're like, come on, that's not real. Just treat me like I'm a human being, and they will respect that more than anything else in the world. So I've had my share of those people. So I think we're coming to an end. I've learned so much about you. You started out you said biomedical engineering or something like that?
Biomedical science.
Sciences.
So it was the pre-med track. Yeah.
And then you like, screw that. And now
exactly.
But again, the most amazing thing, you found your passion. Mm-hmm. You found your calling. You see that you're having fun. I mean, you light up when you talk about it. And I can sense that you're passionate about what you're doing. And I hope you all the best. And I hope we can get you some more exposure. Probably don't need it because you probably look like you have things figured out. But I hope we can get it, and I can, whatever, this can lead to. Fantastic.
Absolutely. No, the cycling community is an incredible community, both in Illinois and up here in Wisconsin. And it's something that I couldn't find myself staying away from. So even when I would go compete in powerlifting, I always missed cycling. I always missed the feeling of being at a race or being at a group ride. And I think that's something that sticks with you, because all of the masters athletes that I talk to about cycling, they have pretty much the same impression. So they always want to stay involved with it, whether it's, junior development and mentorship, or coaching, or just going to races and watching and being around the crowds. It's something that probably doesn't leave you.
Got you. Do you have any siblings?
No.
Ah, oh, you're solo. I'm solo.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So as we come to an closing up, and we learned so much about you. So is there anything you wanna leave us with? Like what keeps you going?
I would say the biggest thing that keeps me going is competitive drive. First of all, I like to compete. I like to win. I notice that I definitely drift if I don't have an upcoming event. So that was one of the big catalysts behind competing in powerlifting. When I was taking a break from cycling, I didn't know what to do, and then I saw some people lifting online and said, "Hey, I could probably win nationals." So 3 months later, I won nationals. But I was already well prepared. I just needed that target, that final push to get me across the line. So whether it's cycling or something else, I want to stay involved in the competitive side. And eventually there's going to be a point where I'm probably too old to continue competing as one of the top elites. So that's where the coaching and youth development comes in. So a lot of where I predict the rest of my career going is aimed toward youth development. Very specifically in track cycling. That's something that I'm very passionate about. So I really plan to start a youth track sprinting league, where I'd like to see those athletes be able to turn track cycling into a viable career path. One of the biggest challenges we have here in the US, and one of the things that was always a deterrent for me from track cycling, was there's no long-term career pathway in it. So if you're a U.S. national team rider, you're probably not getting paid to race. In fact, it's probably costing you a lot of money to go to these events. So you have to have either a great family support system or great private sponsors just to make ends meet, to be able to afford equipment and travel and to be able to train. And most of these riders, they either end up having to get real day jobs and phasing out of cycling, or they live a pretty tough life for a very long time, as long as they're trying to pursue it. So being in the position where I'm able to go around to all these other sporting organizations, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, and seeing the lives that those athletes are able to live, I want to be able to provide that for cyclists. But in order for that to be a reality, you have to have a system in place. So there has to be a real league. The league has to be able to financially subsidize all the costs associated with not just the racing and the equipment, but also just living. The rest of the countries who do really well in track cycling, and really all of the cycling disciplines, they have funding from a lot of other sources, government sources, lottery. So that's something that we don't really have here in place. And that's a big mission of mine. So I want to get more kids on bikes in a way that allows them to continue doing it. No one in the US is really going to college to be a cyclist. Sure, there are collegiate cycling programs, but it's not the same as going to a Division I school for football, where you're getting paid to play, and then you're probably going to go into the NFL and make millions right off the bat. If you try to become a track cyclist right now, you're probably going to be in a lot of debt for a very long time. So I want people to be able to avoid that.
Gotcha. So there's no market for it at the moment.
No. And I think that's partially because of the lack of coverage of it. So some organizations are doing a better job trying to bring track into prominence. The Velodrome in Detroit's doing a good job of trying to put a little bit more of a show behind some of the track cycling events. I'm particularly biased toward the Kieran event in track cycling. I think that's the most exhilarating event to watch. It also fits within the American time window of being able to watch it, followed by a commercial break. So that's something that I would like to bring into more prominence in the US by starting a Kieran League. It's probably a long way off, but I don't think it's impossible.
Hey, if you dream it, and I mean, from talking to you, I think when you talk about something, you talk about, I feel the passion, and I think you set realistic goals. So I think you can achieve this. Yeah. And if you get the right people behind you, there's a lot of guys in Chicago who goes to the Velodrome. I mean, Mike Lanyon is killing everybody now in track. He's killing everybody on the road. He's killing everybody in everything.
Exactly.
So we just need probably some good ambassadors.
Definitely. Yeah, it takes a village. One person can't put the whole thing together, so there have to be multiple parties involved. But other countries like Japan, they've done that very successfully, where they have a gambling style Keirin League. So those athletes are legitimate professional athletes who are able to race for a couple decades successfully and make full careers out of it. So I'd love to see that happen here. And there are still enough people interested in track cycling who may have raced when they were younger and are now on the master's side or aging out, where they still want to stay involved. So
you can recruit those guys.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, if Japan did it, we can use their model and modify it a little bit to the American environment and see how it plays out.
Exactly.
If I can help, just hit me up. I don't know how much I can help, but yeah, let me know.
Well, you have the network, so if anyone's interested in getting this going, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, sounds good. Do you know Marcus Dorcas he goes to Northbrook sometimes. He's been inviting me to go to Northbrook for the longest time, and I've yet to make it because it's a little bit north of where I am, and it's tough. And then the one that's close to me is broken, so it's like I don't know. But maybe one day I go to. I have a tri bike. There's the red tri bike in my background. It actually can be converted to a track bike easily.
There we go.
Because the way the hooks at the back is, it's like more kind of a
the horizontal dropouts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try it one day, but yeah, I'm too old though, man. I just want to have fun.
Not too old. I mean, you can do this until your 70s or 80s. There's plenty of people doing that.
I like the
It's safer than riding on the road. No
really?
Traffic. Yeah.
True, but so I've actually done sprints, and then all of a sudden my brain told me to stop pedaling, but you can't on a track bike. So I have to train my brain to like it don't work like that.
That happens quickly. You'll figure that out in a day or two.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anything that we didn't cover that you would like to touch on a little bit? I mean, we covered a lot about your background, what you've done so far, but anything that we're missing that you want to like tell people, bring up with your awareness?
I think the strength training for cycling is a big thing that a lot of people are trying to get into. So if people are trying to figure out a good, effective way to do it, I'm available as a resource. Otherwise, if you're interested in starting a youth Keirin League with potential for development into an elite Keirin League where people can race bikes as a true profession rather than as a hobby, that's something that I'm very passionate about and happy to talk more about.
You guys heard that, guys. Anyway, so I came all the way to Milwaukee to get my watts mind into play, because I'm still like having all these charging in my brain now, like 2,400 watts. Man, that's a lot, guys. So we're here in Knock Our Watts Off. We heard a lot about you, which I had no clue before I came here, and we've gone from college to Belgium, back to the US, up to Canada, back in Wisconsin.
Well, so that's another good point that you mentioned. So USA Cycling has run a program for the last couple of years called the Search for Speed, which was exactly that. It was trying to find other people who are going to be able to put out a ridiculous amount of watts. And they've done a good job finding some prospects. So programs like that fall short when it comes to the actual career sustainability side. So with that project, they were taking watt bikes around to schools, primarily in California, and then also to gyms and to bigger bike races that might be a mountain bike race or a road race, and trying to recruit people to become track sprinters. So other people want to accomplish this, but you'd be amazed at some of the power outputs that are out there. We have athletes in the NHL producing well over 2,000 watts as well, both at the combines and in their own team training facilities. Same with pretty much all the major sports. So people who are good at football, good at basketball, good at baseball might also be very good on a bike. It's just about finding those people and then showing them what the potential is in terms of the culture, the community, and also the sustainability of it.
Yeah, because sometimes you might find somebody who's been really trying to do one sport, but that's just not their calling, right? We can say that Roger Bannister was the first person to run a mile in 4 minutes, but I guarantee you, someone did it way before him. But it was recorded.
Yeah,
well, once all these talents. Yeah, and then once he broke it, then
everyone broke it.
Everyone broke it. Like people were like 4 minute mile, like it's nothing. I mean, some kid from Miami just ran like a 4:12 miles. Like you're in high school, like chillax. I mean, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
So if we can actually find a way to screen these kids out, maybe, for example, my son, right? He really wanted to play basketball, and I watched him play. I'm like, try a different sport. so now he's very passionate about volleyball. He's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
See, so if you're not exposed to something, you'll never know. So I think this idea is a good way. You go to somebody's gym and say, okay, you might want to go into football or basketball, but these are your numbers. And I think we can develop you to be like one of the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you just have to have that opportunity to be exposed to it.
Yeah.
And then, enough opportunity to continue with it, to see some progress and to really fall in love with it. One time on the track probably isn't enough, but if you can get people on there consistently, show them how they can grow and develop, that lends toward much longer term success.
Yeah, and get them early. Like I think I have a daughter. Her name is Ella. Oh, she's built for power.
Yeah.
Just looking at her, she has the best of myself and my wife. And she's the most athletic out of all my kids. She's just a natural kid. She's just naturally just anything sport-wise you do, she's like seriously, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So I think she might be.
There we go. We'll have to recruit her, but she has to love it too. So
yeah, she's very passionate about learning new things and trying new things out. So you never know. Let's keep in touch. Like Ella, this might be something I think she would.
There we go.
I just bought a trainer so she can probably use it and stuff, and we can see her numbers, because I'm telling you, she just have a natural knack for athletic things.
Absolutely.
She can outrun all my younger or older siblings. She's like only 7, and she can outrun her brothers and sister. And like, seriously?
That might be the athlete in the family.
Yeah. That's awesome. Again, thank you so much. It was well worth driving from Chicago. I actually was at work, did my rounds, and I did some stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm heading up to Milwaukee, and I might actually head back to work when I'm done. I go back to the lab and do some stuff. Because that's my life. Yeah, keep researching. So I love it. And man, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I learned so much about track cycling, your background. And guys, we're going to keep on identifying amazing people doing amazing things. And, again, use this other way as a diary to like, hey, these people, this is what I've done. And this is why I make Chicago and beyond an awesome place, because he not only is in Wisconsin, but he's also in Chicago, Illinois area, right? In the North Velodrome. So let's see how we can make the link work and how we can capitalize on all these amazing people, because we have all these different talents from different backgrounds that we can all come together and make some really nice, sparky things happen. And again, you never know. But the thing is, I have to try to start from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And then see how it plays out. So guys, thank you again for tuning in, and until we meet again, keep the miles and smiles going. One love. Peace.